Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all having a great day today. If you're new here, hi, my name's Allarnah and welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining me today. In today's video, I thought I had lipstick on my teeth. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys kind of like a makeup, I don't know, like a makeup for beginners class, tutorial kind of thing like that. I'm basically just going to be going through the bare minimum of makeup, like the just standard stuff that you like learn at the beginning of doing makeup. Basically, it's quite self-explanatory. I'm going to be going through like tools, what's best to use, like tips and tricks on how to get, I have no idea what I'm saying, like tips and tricks on how certain products work and what brushes work best for what, and just all stuff like that. So hopefully if you're new to makeup, this video helps you, and if you're not new to makeup, then make sure you leave your own tips and tricks in the comments down below because it helps a lot. I just want to quickly say that I am not a makeup artist by any means. I'm not a professional at all. I'm self-taught. Everything I do, I taught myself. This is just what works for me, and what works for me might not necessarily work for you. But like I said, leave any tips or tricks you have in the comment section because then it could help somebody else. But like I said, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it's helpful for someone, because I feel like this time is just the best time to learn how to do makeup. We're all locked inside anyway, so no one has to see our faces if something goes wrong. So this is a perfect time to learn how to do makeup. So I really hope that you guys have fun watching this video, and I shall see you guys in the next clip. Seeing as this is going to be like bare basics, none of this is going to be like difficult at all. Like makeup's not difficult, it should be fun, like it gives you a chance to create, and your makeup wipes off at the end of the day, like you do you. So for me personally, I always start with brows because I find it so much easier to do my brows before I do foundation. However, if you prefer to do your foundation first and then do brows, that's cool. I feel like you have to find your own, what am I trying to say? Your own kind of like way of doing things. Like what works for me might not necessarily work for you, but these are just my personal like tips and tricks that help me do my makeup. So I always do my brows first. I do have a brow tutorial up. When it comes to brows, everyone has different brows. I am quite lucky in the fact that I have quite full brows naturally. They're naturally quite full. I realistically could leave my brows if I really wanted to, but I just like to structure them a little bit. You don't necessarily have to. It just depends on you. But I personally like to use a pomade or a pencil. And when I was starting out to do brows, everyone said stay clear from pomades, but when I was learning how to do brows, pencils just made my brows look too blocky and I didn't like it. So when I then switched to a pomade, it was a lot easier to get that like faded look at the front, because that's what I personally prefer. If you want to go and do like block shaped brows, you do you. At the end of the day, if it makes you feel happy, then it doesn't matter what other people think. But I personally just prefer them to look a little bit more faded out. So I personally like to use a pomade, but you can use powder, pomades, pencils, do what you want basically. But I like to fill mine in mostly with a pomade. But what I would recommend with brows is to not go in with too much product. Try and use less product and add more, because it's so much easier to build up than it is to take product away. So I personally like to do a line. Like I basically follow my brow shape underneath and just fill it in underneath. I then also do the same on the top, but then obviously I use a pomade, so with the product that's left on my brush, I then just fill it in lightly. If you're using a pencil, I kind of push down a little bit harder. I'm trying to think like as I'm doing it, as I'm like pretending to do it. I push down harder when I do the line underneath and on top, but then when I'm filling in, I use a much lighter hand because it just looks a lot more like hair strokes. And then when I get to the front, I barely do anything. Usually I will do a line underneath, but I'll leave the top and then just do brush strokes upwards. That's what I personally like to do, but again, you've just got to find what works for you. So I'm just quickly going to jump off camera. I'm going to do my brows and then I'll be back to do foundation. Okay, so those are my brows done. I love them. I've changed up the way I do my brows, and honestly, I only just did a brow tutorial like not even that long ago, and I really want to do a new one because I love my new brows. Like I don't know, like I just love them. I don't know. I feel like it's so like cheesy to say that you just like love something, but genuinely I love the way I do my brows lately. And yeah, I feel like I really need to do another tutorial. So if you guys do want to see that, let me know, because it is kind of fun the way I do my brows. But as I was doing my brows, what the hell did I just say? I had an epiphany. Is that even the right word? I don't know. But I didn't mention the most important step to my makeup routine. So, the most important step of any makeup routine, you've got to clean and moisturize your face before you do anything. You don't need a primer, but you need to moisturize. Like you need to. I'm not gonna put a primer on today because I don't feel like you necessarily need them. I put them on to hydrate my face a little bit more, so I like to use quite a hydrating primer, but you definitely don't need to use a primer. It can help with longevity, but truthfully I feel like primers are just one of them things that people do because everybody else does them. I only purely use a primer for the fact that it makes my skin feel that even bit more like hydrated. So that's why I use a primer, but you've got to moisturize your skin before you do anything. So moisturizing is so important. I cannot stress that enough, because if your skin is feeling the best that it can be, you've got like the best canvas to work on. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, usually I would carve out my brows first, but I thought I would leave that step and show you kind of how I do that. But next up we've got foundation, and truthfully I mix this up a lot now. I don't always use a full coverage foundation anymore, so you need to find what coverage foundation works best for you. So for me personally, at the minute I've got a big pimple here and a few pimples around here, and it's that time of the month, you know. Aunt Flo's about, she's messing with my skin, so I'm definitely going to be going in with a more fuller coverage foundation, but you definitely don't have to. If you don't want to use a full coverage foundation, you can go in with a BB or CC cream. I've really been getting into BB creams lately. I definitely want to try more of them, but I've not found one that really works amazing for me yet, so when I find that, I'm definitely going to be doing a video on that. But anyway, the foundation I'm going to be using is well loved. So this is the Revlon Colour Stay foundation. You can go in with whatever foundation best suits you. Obviously my skin type might be different to yours, so I'm not like a dermatologist. I feel like that's the right I was gonna say person, but I think it's job title I'm trying to say. Yeah, I'm not a dermatologist, so I don't know 100%, but you need to kind of figure out your skin type. So I have quite oily combination skin, so I get oily in the T-zone and a little bit under here, but I also have like quite dry skin sometimes, like sometimes around the tip of my nose I get dry skin. So I have like oily combination skin, but usually if you have oily skin you get like sweatier, not sweaty, what's the word I'm looking for, oily, just like oilier, like you have like that kind of grease on your skin throughout the day, whereas if you have dry skin you usually have like dry patches of skin. That's kind of the like boundary. And also when picking your foundation you need to know your like skin tone, is that the right, oh, undertone, that's what I'm thinking of. So the skin on my face has like a quite pink undertone, whereas the skin on like my neck and my chest is quite of a yellow undertone. So I always match it to my neck and my chest because they're going to be on show. Like my face isn't on show when it's covered up by the makeup. Does that make sense? So I want it to match like my neck and my chest so that when I have clothes on it doesn't look like a massive contrast in skin tones. So there you go, you need to find out what kind of undertone your skin is. And truthfully, for the longest time I matched my foundation to my face, and then I literally brought the wrong foundation one time and it was like more yellow tone, and I was like, damn, this looks so much better. Like, so it's all a learning curve, but you'll find out what foundation works best for you. And then when it does come to foundation, it's also the application that you need to get familiar with. So you can use a brush, a sponge, your hands. I personally use a brush and a sponge. So I go in with the brush first and like whack that all over my face, get like a nice even layer everywhere, and then I go in with a damp sponge or beauty blender and really like push the product into my skin, and it just helps to blend it out as well. Like if there can be times with brushes where you get like brush strokes, so I feel like a sponge just helps with that. I also like to spray my sponge with like a setting spray because then it helps to keep my makeup down, like locked down longer. So they're just my tips when it comes to foundation. So as I said, when it comes to like coverage, so you can have foundations like this that are quite full coverage, they'll cover up almost everything, if not everything on my face. It's kind of like a blank canvas to start with. However, if you want something a little bit more natural, I would go with a BB or CC cream. They kind of just make your skin look like naturally flawless, if that makes sense. Like they don't cover a lot of, like they won't cover much. They'll cover a few imperfections, but not much. So it just depends really what you want to go for. So now I'm going to go in with my sponge and I'm just going to wet it a little bit with any setting spray that I have lying around. And just whilst I was blending out that foundation, I remembered another tip that I had forgot to mention. Well, not really a tip, this is kind of like a must know. If you're gonna put foundation on, you need to like drag it down to kind of like wherever your clothing area begins, or like, you know what I mean? Like, so I obviously drag it down my neck because my top today covers the rest of my body, whereas if I had a top that went a little bit lower, I would probably bring the foundation a little bit lower down. Honestly, it just looks better, especially in pictures. If you have like, if you take pictures and say you've got like, I don't know, you've got just a vest top on, you can tell the difference from your neck to like your actual skin, because obviously your foundation is covering up everything on your skin, if that makes sense. So then it just looks bizarre on pictures. In real life it never really looks that bad, but on pictures it definitely picks up on it. But you must take it down your neck, because otherwise you get that big ring like around the bottom of your neck, and that's just not attractive. I will tell you that for free. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to concealer. So you can use whatever concealer you like. I like to use quite a full coverage concealer. So the concealer I'm using is just the Maybelline Superstay. But this step isn't necessary, I wouldn't say. If you don't feel like you need concealer, then just skip this step altogether. You don't need to do concealer. I like to do concealer just because I like my coverage to be like very full, which is why I then go in with a concealer, but this really isn't necessary. So feel free to skip this step. But basically when I do concealer, I just do my under eyes and maybe some imperfections on my face if I feel like it. I barely ever cover spots, if I'm being honest. I feel like my foundation does it enough. But if I do feel like I do need that little bit of help, I will. Usually I just do two kind of triangle shapes under my eyes, and then if I have any left over on my sponge, sometimes I'll go and use the rest on my like forehead, maybe a little bit on my chin if I'm feeling it, but mostly I just do under my eyes, and I will also carve out my eyebrows now too. And again, you can do this with either a sponge or a brush. I personally like to use a sponge because I feel like the sponge does all the work for you. It just blends in easier. If you want to use a brush definitely gives you a lot more fuller coverage. So again, that just falls down to like personal preference. And that's how I blend out my concealer and carve out my brows. So now we're going to move on to powder. And one thing I actually quickly want to mention before I do move on to powder is just that the general rule of thumb with concealer is that your concealer just needs to be a shade 2, 3, 4 lighter than your foundation shade. For me that's not that easy because my foundation shade is very pale anyway. I'm usually the first shade or the second shade. So that's not the easiest for me to do, but that is genuinely like the rule of thumb with concealer. So now onto powder. Now there's two different types. So you have your loose powders and baking powders, and then you have pressed powders. I personally like to use a pressed powder for the perimeters of my face, but wait, is that even the right word? I swear I'm just making this up today. But basically, I like to use a pressed powder for the outsides of my face, but but I like to use a loose powder for under my eyes and to bake like around my nose and stuff like that, because that is where most of my foundation would come off throughout of the day. So baking is basically where you just put like a thicker layer of powder on. I'll show you in this clip. You put like a thicker layer of powder on, so as you see I do this under my eyes, and then with normal just setting powders, pressed powders, I just dust them over with a brush and then go over with my sponge afterwards to just push the product in, because I feel like that helps to keep my makeup on longer. I would recommend, if you're going to use a pressed powder or a loose powder, to begin with a translucent one, because then it's not going to adjust the colour of your foundation, so it just gives you the setting properties. And then when you get like a little bit more comfortable, then move on to getting face powders that have like a little bit of colour in them. But you don't have to set your face. Like if you have dry skin, you probably won't even need to do this step, but I have very oily skin, so I definitely need to do this step. So just to clarify, you don't just have to bake with loose powders. You can just set your face with loose powders. I do that as well, but if I'm going to use a pressed powder, this is just what I would do with it, so I'm just showing you for reference, if that makes any sense. Probably not. Okay, so there's people banging outside. I don't know what they're doing, but hopefully it's not too distracting or annoying. You might not even be able to hear it. I hope that is the case. But now when you get to this step, we just need to wipe the bake off. So I just get like a more precise kind of fluffy brush and I just basically wipe that bake away. Also, when you bake, if you're going to bake that is, you never want to bake like any creases. So like I have quite creasy under eyes. I've mentioned this a lot. So I always apply my concealer and then just before I'm about to set it, I go in again with my sponge. I don't feel like I show that a lot in videos, so maybe I should, but I just feel like it's quite like boring to show. But I basically just do like just blend out any creases that I have and then just go in with the powder straight after, because if you set a crease, like it's going to be way more obvious that there's a crease. Okay, so now that we are at this point, this is a very like blank canvas, so no one's face is all the same, just like skin tone. You usually have like quite rosy cheeks. So I personally like to go for a peachy blush or like a coral blush. So this is a new one, I've not tried it yet, from Revolution. So this is the Blusher Reloaded Peach Bliss. I've not used it yet, so I thought I could try it out in this video. But yeah, I like to go for quite a peachy blush basically. And the reason I would recommend doing blush instead of like contour or anything like that, it's so much easier to go wrong with contour or bronzer. So just whilst you're learning out, just whilst you're new and like learning the ropes, I would recommend blusher over like contour or bronzer or anything like that. So I basically just get like a small kind of fluffy brush, and I'm going to be very careful with this because I don't know how pigmented it is. And I just get it on the brush and just basically sweep it over my cheeks. And I also do just bring it back a little bit, kind of above where my contour line would be, just because I feel like it looks a little bit more natural. I just like the way it looks. You'll find what works best for your face shape, because I have quite a round face, so I feel like I need that little bit of structure just so I don't always look like I have a moon face. Obviously, if you don't like the look of rosy cheeks, or you like the look of just being all one kind of, I was gonna say shade, but just one, I don't know the word I'm looking for. If you like just being like a blank canvas kind of thing, then obviously you don't have to do blush, but I personally would recommend doing blush just because it's the easiest way to add a little bit of colour back into your cheeks and it just looks a little bit more natural. I also like to put a little bit on the tip of my nose, kind of like if you were to get sunburn. That's kind of where you'd get sunburn. I also take a little bit over the bridge of my nose. You don't have to do all of this, by the way. I personally would just start out doing it on your cheeks first and see how you feel. At the end of the day, if you want to play around with makeup and you want to put it all over your face, then do what you want to do at the end of the day. I feel like I'm struggling to see in this lighting. I have put the camera angle this way because I feel like it's better on camera, but when I'm doing my makeup it's kind of a little bit hard because I broke my ring light. I don't know whether that video will have gone out yet where I broke my... What are they doing downstairs? Yeah, I don't know whether the video will be up yet where I broke my ring light, but yeah, it's broken, so I'm using natural lighting, so the lighting kind of shifts about a bit. I'm sorry, I can't help nature. So just kind of like that, and sometimes I do take a little bit and I just put it on my forehead sometimes. I say sometimes, I actually do this all the time. I love blush, so I like to put it everywhere. But again, you don't have to do this. I just like to do it because I find it fun, for one. 2, I love blush. And 3, I just think it makes it look a little bit more natural. One tip I will say with blush, I mean, I'm not one to talk because I am hammering the blush on right now, but I love blush, so that's why. But go in with a little bit at a time, because if you put too much blush on, it just looks silly. She says, looking like a beetroot right now, but I kind of like looking like this, if that makes any sense. I like a big, like, rosy, cheeky blush kind of situation, but going with a little bit first, because as I said, it's easier to apply more product than it is to take away product. So there we go, there's me blush. I actually quite like that blush. It's quite pretty. I'm gonna use it a little bit more. So next up is a step that I personally cannot not do in my makeup routine, and that is highlighter. So I like to apply highlighter to the tops of my cheekbones, on my inner corner, and also on my brow bone, a little bit on my forehead, on my nose. Basically I bathe in it, but you can use multiple different brushes for this. So you can use a fan brush to give you like a nice dust of highlight. You can use a more dense brush to give you like more of an intense highlight, and I would personally recommend using smaller brushes on your eyes if you're going to use any products around your eyes. But they're just the brushes you can use, but find what works best for you, because different people use different brushes for different things. So I'm just going to kind of demonstrate what the difference in brushes would look like. So a fan brush just helps do kind of like a soft, subtle glow. So hopefully you can see that. I don't know what lighting is best for you guys to see, because this is a new angle for me, but hopefully you can see. And then if I just turn to the other cheek with this blush highlight, I need a mirror. Use this mirror. So hopefully you can kind of see the difference. That one's a little bit more subtle, and then that one is a little bit more beaming. I don't know how well you can see, but that is kind of the general rule of form. Like, fan brushes just help to like distribute product more subtly. Obviously, again, you do not have to do this step if you don't want to. Oh, there we go, we are joined by my alarm friend again. But yeah, you do not have to do this step if you don't want to, but I love highlight and I love to glow to the gods, so I always apply highlight. But you do whatever you want to do. I love highlighter. Also, the reason I'm not going through like what products I'm using is because the products aren't really what I'm trying to talk about. It's more like the techniques I'm trying to talk about, and like what products do what. So that's why I'm not going through products in more detail, if that makes any sense. Also, if you feel like you've gone too over the top with highlight, I would leave my highlighter like this, but just for reference, just go in with your sponge or your foundation brush and just kind of pat over. Don't swipe, you want to pat. Just pat over the area, and you can just kind of dull it down a bit if you want to. So now that I'm at this step, I would usually set my brows. Because of the way I've done them, they are set anyway. I also haven't done any inner corner highlight or brow bone highlight because this is like bare minimum, so I've just left that step. Oh, I love my brows, I'm sorry I keep looking at them. But now I'm going to move on to setting my face. I feel like this is really important when you start out doing makeup, because setting your face, it just kind of melts all the products together and it doesn't look like you've just got different textures on your skin and stuff like that. So any setting spray will do. so you just want to spray a light layer. I drown myself in it, but you just want a light layer of setting spray. And then any powder products can just really sink into your skin and just look a little bit more flawless, really. So now I'm still wafting my face, but now I'm going to move on to mascara. I like to do my mascara after I do my setting spray because then you don't wet the mascara and it doesn't transfer on your face. So any mascara will do, but yeah, you just basically want to coat your lashes as much as you like. I usually go in with 2, maybe 3 layers because I feel like any more than that is just too clumpy. But if you prefer more of a clumpy lash, go in with as many coats as you feel necessary. I personally, when I do my mascara, when I do my top set of lashes, I kind of tilt my head back so that my lashes are down so that I don't get any mascara up here. And then when I do my lower lashes, I tilt my head down so that my lashes are kind of lifted from my face, if that makes sense, just to stop hopefully getting mascara on my face. It doesn't always work, but a lot of the time it does. And I kind of like to wiggle at the root of my lash. I don't know how well you can see that. And then drag up. So I get to the root of my lash, wiggle, and drag up. I also pull loads of weird faces when I do mascara, but I just do it naturally. I don't necessarily think it helps, it just happens. So that's one coat, and then I go in with another, and with this coat I just literally coat them. I'm not really wiggling or anything like that. You'll get into the groove of how you like to do your mascara, just like so. And I did get a little bit of mascara on myself, so I'll show you how to clean it up because that's also helpful. So don't touch it whilst it's wet, just leave it alone. Carry on doing what you're doing, basically. Same with the bottom lashes as well, by the way. Wiggle and wiggle, and that's kind of where I'll leave them lashes at. And then sometimes if I feel like I need to, I'll then go back in on the top lashes, and that's literally it for mascara. So now I'm just going to quickly go and do this eye. Okay, and that is my mascara done. I'm still leaving that bit there to just make sure it's completely dry, but I haven't forgotten about it. So now I'm going to go in and just do a lipstick. This is not necessary. If you don't want to do a lipstick, you don't have to. One thing I would recommend though is just making sure you have no like foundation or powder on your lips, because that's just not appealing. I like to go in with a lipstick just because I feel like it kind of finishes off the look. So I just like to go in with kind of a nourishing lipstick. So this is like a lip balm stick from Essence, but it just has a bit of colour in it. If I don't go in with a lipstick, by the way, I will just wear a lip balm, just like a clear lip balm. I feel like that looks like really nice and just like kind of healthy, but just for the purpose of this video, I am going to go in with a coloured like lipstick balm. So not the neatest lip application I've ever done in my life, but that's because even I am still learning. I literally used to not do lipstick because I didn't like my lips, because sorry, I'm getting comfortable. One side of my lips is like more fatter than the other, so I literally used to just not do lip balm for that exact reason. But I've now found a way that like doing lipstick on me suits my lip shape. So that's what I mean. Everything's a learning curve and everything's different for different people, and you've just got to find what works for you, you know. Okay, and now to deal with this mascara situation. So there's 2 ways you can get rid of it. The way that I personally like to get rid of it is I use a earboard, or I think in America they call them like Q-tips, I don't know. But I like to get these. I leave it dry, and because the mascara is dry, you can literally just flick it away without taking any of your foundation off, so just like so. But if you don't want to do that, I've got a little tiny bit in the corner in here, so hopefully I can show you. Get a clean this is called a spoolie, and basically just the same kind of flick it away and then done. So because it's dry, it's not going to take any of your makeup off. So never try to fix like a mascara mistake when the mascara is still wet. Leave it to dry and you can sort it out way easier. But that is basically it. So this is the finished look. You don't have to do even this much makeup if you don't want to. When you're learning, I know like you've kind of got to find what best works for you and what best suits your face and what you are able to do, because not every part of makeup is easy. Like I personally hate doing my lips still. I hate doing proper contouring. I don't like doing it. And even sometimes eyeshadow, I love playing with eyeshadow, but I'm still learning what's best for my eye shape. So it's all just a learning curve, and you just gotta find what like rhythm suits you. So if you don't feel like you want to wear a foundation, you don't have to wear a foundation. If you just want to wear concealer, you just wear concealer. Just do whatever you want to do, and just once you've mastered one thing, move on to another. That's basically just how I learn. But hopefully these little tips and tricks were helpful for you. I really hope that this helps someone. I loved these videos when I was learning how to do makeup. I loved like just learning what other people, like what worked for them and what helped them. So hopefully this was helpful for you. If you did enjoy, please leave me a big fat like and a comment down below. Leave me some video suggestions down below, because I'm actually slowly running out of ideas now. I still have a couple, so there's definitely not going to be a shortage of videos, but I would really like some video suggestions from you guys, especially some challenges. I really want to do some more makeup challenge videos. If you have any ideas, please let me know, because I would love to do some challenge videos. But like I said, I really hope this video was helpful for you. If you do maybe want to see a little bit more of me and you want to join the fam, please don't forget to subscribe before you go, so that you never miss a new video. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys!